Our final storyteller tonight, Jo Radner. She is an oral historian and storyteller, a longtime storyteller, and excited to have her share her stories tonight. You by location these days? Massachusetts and Maine? Okay. Well, welcome on up. How's the hay?
That's fine. Yes. So, 7th grade has featured fairly large tonight. And Dan and Julia experienced a somewhat different 7th grade from me, as you might guess. But some things don't change. In my 7th grade, all the girls were in love with Clay Davis on account of his extraordinary eyebrows. He had wavy blonde hair, combed back, and then these dark, romantic eyebrows that framed eyes that were blue and deep like the Caribbean, and if you looked in them, you would drown. I never looked. I was 11. I was new in town. I was new in school. I was new in a school that had boys. And I didn't understand what the girls were giggling about on the playground. In my spare time, I walked in the woods and I studied salamanders. In fact, at that time in my life, everything I knew about sex, I learned from salamanders. It turned out, though, that in 7th grade, the girls and boys didn't have much to do with each other except Wednesday nights. On Wednesday nights, every class mother drove her son or daughter to the school for Mr. Richards' dancing class. And it was always the same. In the gym, the boys sit on one side, the girls on the other. Down at the end, the deadpan piano player, and in the middle, Mr. Richards, suave, black suit, twinkling black patent leather shoes. And he would demonstrate the steps. He would choose a girl. He never picked me. But he usually picked Judy Mason, which was really weird because she was about half as high as he was. He didn't mind. He just sort of bent over and they twinkled together. And then it was our turn. At a signal, the boys rose up in a phalanx and walked straight across the gym to us. You had to invite the girl exactly opposite you. And we all got partners, and we made the best of it. I was beginning to be able to handle 7th grade. And then in January, the class mothers announced that we were going to have our first social dance. And because it was a leap year, it was going to be a Sadie Hawkins dance, and that meant the girls would invite the boys. Fine. I didn't invite anybody. I didn't have to go. I was calm until the Tuesday before the Saturday of the dance, when suddenly at recess, I was surrounded by a platoon of the most popular girls. Hi. Hi. We hear you haven't invited anybody to the dance. We think you should invite Clay Davis because he likes you. Clay Davis has never said 2 words for me. That's because he likes you. I saw through them. They hadn't had the courage to invite him. I was their last hope to get him to the dance. I wanted them to like me. So that night, when I made the scariest phone call of my whole life and asked him, there was a long pause. I could see those eyebrows knitting together. And then he said, yes, I'd like to come. My mother and I will pick you up at 7 o'clock. Saturday at 7 o'clock, I was ready. I was wearing my new poodle skirt, felt with yarn embroidered poodles on it. Clay helped me on with my coat. We got in the car. His mother talked all the way to the school. When we got there, it was somewhat the same. The boys sat over here and the girls sat over here. But there were balloons and no Mr. Richards and no piano player. There was a record player. We were going to have real music. The first dance was a waltz. But you're supposed to dance the first dance with your date, so those blue eyes came across at me, and we danced. And then, of course, we went back to our sides. The second dance was a tango, my favorite. And those blue eyes, they came across again. And then they veered off, and he invited Judy Mason. He did that a lot that night. They even won the Lindy Hop contest while I sat there grooming the poodles on my skirt. At the end, he helped me on with my coat. We got in his car. His mother said, "How was the dance?" "Wonderful, wonderful." When I got home, my mother said, "How was the dance?" "Wonderful." "Oh," she said, "I'm so relieved. You know, you're at least a foot taller than Clay Davis. And when he helped you on with your coat, I almost brought him a step ladder." I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to think about how we would have looked on the dance floor together. I didn't want to think that Judy Mason was the only girl in 7th grade shorter than Clay Davis. I just wanted to hibernate like a salamander.